Hey, welcome to Walking the Path. I'm so glad you're here. I'm really excited. This is the first Walking the Path in the month of March 6th, and today is my mother's birthday. Mom would have been 102 this year, and she's been gone for about 10 years. So it's her birthday today. Thinking of you, Cecilia. So grateful. So grateful. I got really lucky. I got a great mom. I had a great mom and dad. Not perfect. They weren't perfect by any, neither am I, but I'm pretty lucky. So I'm grateful, and I'm grateful you're here. They were the perfect parents for me, and no matter what, you had the perfect parents for you because they brought us into this world, and we got this gift of life. And one of our principles is that we take life as it's given to us, you know, and then we get to do what we want to do with it. That's where we get to be empowered. So that's really what this Walking the Path is about. It's called Courageous Living, the power of authenticity, and why truth is your superpower. Truth is the remedy. Truth is the power. Truth is the cure. Excuse me. So this month we'll be doing a talk each week on courageous living. And this week, I want to talk to you first about what authenticity is and why does it matter. But before I get there, I want to talk to you about Rythmia, which is this beautiful place that I get to be a part of each week. I'm so grateful to have called Rythmia my home for the last 7.5 years. And I've gotten to grow so much in that time and to see so many people move through the program at Rythmia, which is more than just plant medicine. I mean, it is a plant medicine retreat, but Rythmia has put together a beautiful set of curriculum and core courses that amplify and support the plant medicine experience and make it super productive. And then we've added a bunch of other modalities like breath work and yoga and meditation and hot and cold plunge and sauna and exercise and dance and saltwater pools and colonics and farm to table food and counseling and so if you're at a place in your life where you're at the end of your rope, if you're in a crossroads in your life, something new is emerging, you're not sure what it is, if you are interested in seeing what's more, like life is really good and I want to see what's more, any of those things and many other reasons would be a great time for you to come to Rythmia. So that's a little bit about Rythmia. You can always DM me if you have any questions. You can call the number on the website, rythmia.com. And now let's go to our talk, Courageous Living, number 1, the power of authenticity. Truth is your superpower. So this month we're going to be exploring, what it means to live boldly, to walk in truth, and to embody your soul's purpose. And today's focus is on authenticity and authenticity as a superpower. It's not just about being yourself, but it's about living in deep truth. And truth is the remedy. Truth is the cure. Not only speaking truth to others, but telling ourselves the truth. Because when we live in truth, we actually reclaim our power. When we live in truth, we release old stories. We step into real freedom. So for me, it's like, where in my life am I not fully authentic? Where am I holding back in my life? And why? Why am I holding back? So often I'm holding back and not being my authentic self because of a deep sense of what things should be, a deep sense of normal. Although who the fuck knows what normal is, right? But somehow in my mind, I have a sense of what's normal. It's I don't know where I got it. Well, you get it from your family, from the society, cultural imprints and all that stuff. But at some point I had to freely take it on. And that sense of what's normal is typically what keeps me from actually expressing myself. Because I think, well, it's not even conscious, right? I don't know if you identify with this. It's not conscious. It's like an unconscious, like, well, don't do that because you won't be liked, you won't be accepted, you'll be rejected. They'll think you're stupid. They'll think you're weird. You should know better. Any number of those things. So the cost of inauthenticity. What is the cost of inauthenticity? The cost of inauthenticity is that we're giving our power away. That's the real cost. And what happens when I'm not honest with myself is I'm living in victim mode. I'm living in a victim mentality. Nobody likes to admit that they're a victim, right? But anytime I use the word have to, need to, should, those are all signs of victimhood. It's signs of me giving my power away. I don't have to do anything. I do what I want to do. And if what I want to do and what I have to do is really far apart, then I need to look at some things and work towards bringing them closer together. When we live in victim mode, we're letting old stories, past experiences, or external circumstances define our lives. And I notice myself personally, I get into resentment and blame or justification rather than stepping into my sovereignty, because I'm giving my power away to people or situations or narratives that no longer serve me, that no longer support me. They did, no shame, no blame. Those narratives supported me. The narrative that I'm broken, the narrative that there's something wrong with me, the narrative that I'm not enough. All of those narratives served me, but they're not serving me anymore. So when I keep replaying the same cycles and wondering why things don't change, it's time for me to be honest with myself. And where am I being authentic and courageous with myself? Truth is the remedy, and this is the power of self-honesty. If I'm not telling myself the truth, I can't be free. So I had to ask myself, where am I still carrying an old wound or an old story that drains my power? And it's just even in the observation of it that's so powerful. It's radical honesty isn't about shame. It's about reclaiming the energy that I have inherently within me and shifting from victim consciousness to creator consciousness. And there's a moment that I recognize my part in the story. And that's when I'm free to change it. So recently I realized it came up. Life is our curriculum. Life just keeps presenting things. Do you notice that for yourself? Life presents something and is there ever like a moment where life's like, hey, I'm going to present this to you. And, you could deal with it now, or I could bring it back in like 10 years, a little bigger. Would you like that? Maybe 5 years, a little bigger, or you could deal with it now. What do you think? So life is presenting these things. And if we're attentive, we'll see. So here's an example. I was bemoaning the other day about my schedule, right? That I'm busy. I'm never on top of emails. I'm never responding promptly. I have a million texts to respond to. I don't seem to be getting these things that are hanging out in my to-do list done. I get a lot of stuff done. I move a lot of things forward, but then there's all this stuff that's like hanging out and nagging and like, what is there? I was like, what's wrong with me? That was the story. I was like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do, there are other people that accomplish more than me and are busier than me. Why can't I do that? What's wrong with me? And then I realized I have this story that I'm broken. And just in identifying, oh man, I have this story that I'm broken. Stuff started to come up. I was able to release that story. Actually, I did a ceremony around it, but this is the beginning. The first is, where am I carrying an old story or an old wound? What's the old story that you're telling yourself? And recognize that that's part of the story that you're telling. And freedom begins when we stop lying to ourselves, because I'm not broken. And I was broken was because I had some external sense of what normal is or what I should be that was completely unconscious. So the second thing I want to talk about is why authenticity is our superpower. Because the world doesn't need a copy of someone else. It just needs the real you and the real me. And authenticity magnetizes the right people, the right opportunities, the right experiences into our lives. When I live in truth and operate from alignment and not fear, I magnetize things to me. Every great leader, every healer, every artist, every change maker was unapologetically themselves. Think of people. Are there people in your life that you know that have just been unapologetically themselves? And how liberating it is. There are people in my life that it's liberating to be around them. They're like courageous. So when we're bold in our authenticity, we give others permission to do the same. I want to share with you a story about this. A lady was sharing this with me just the other day. This is how, when we're honest with ourselves, when we're courageous and can speak our truth, we actually impact others' lives and give others the permission to do the same. So this lady shared with me that she was out on a boat ride with a group of friends, and these are her friends, and she's been with, loved them for a long time. And she said something was off on this boat ride. They were all on this boat ride and they're all bitching and complaining, and she just wasn't into that at that time. So she said normally she would have just shrunk and just not said anything and just waited for the boat ride to be over. But this day she felt empowered, and she went up to the driver of the boat and said, "Do you mind? I don't want to ruin everybody else's day, but could you just take me back to the dock and then you guys go on?" And he was like, "Sure, no problem." And she's like, "Normally I wouldn't have done that. I don't want to ruin everybody else's time." And he took her back to the dock. The next day she saw him and she said, "Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hope I didn't ruin everybody's time." She goes, "You know what? We never went out again. Nobody really wanted to go out. Everybody else was ready to come in too, but nobody had the permission. Nobody was going to speak up. But she was feeling something. And when she felt it and spoke her truth, even though it could have been, uh, piss other people off, she spoke her truth. And actually she was picking up on something in the crowd, in the group. And so, this is how we actually give other people permission when we speak our truth. And here's the principle behind that there's only one good. My good is your good, and your good is my good. There's only one good. So what was good for her was good for everybody else. That's the spiritual principle. So how do we express our authenticity and express our truth and clarity with courage? And not being a jerk about it, right? Like, expressing our truth is a skill. It's not just a feeling. And authenticity doesn't mean being blunt or careless. It means learning how to speak our truth with clarity, kindness, and courage. Many people, myself included, suppress truth because we don't know how to communicate in a way that is both honest and constructive. So I want to talk to you about some practical communication skills for authentic expression. So the first piece is just to pause. Pause before you speak. Stop, drop, and roll, right? Remember that one? Stop, drop, and roll. Pause. Take a moment. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? What's my truth? What do I actually need to express? This prevents reactivity and allows for like a little more intentional and grounded communication. The second constructive communication piece is to use I statements instead of blame. So instead of like, "You never listen to me," it's like, I feel unheard, or I feel. So it's like, when you said this, I felt this way. In the future, I would really appreciate it if we could talk in this way. That's not blaming anyone. That's taking responsibility for your own feelings. When you said this, or when you did this, or when this happened, I felt, I experienced. You didn't make me. I felt that way. And then what would I like? Well, I'd like us to have a different kind of conversation in the future. So speaking from the I is a very important. Using I statements is very important for constructive communication. And remember that say what you mean, but say it with love, right? Truth doesn't need to be harsh to be powerful. Authentic communication is balancing honesty and kindness with respect. It's the way to communicate. And then remember that discomfort is okay. Truth is your truth. You speaking your truth is speaking your truth. It is your truth, and it's perfectly valid, but it's not the truth, right? It's your truth, and they have their truth, which isn't the truth. It's a truth. It's their truth. So there's your truth and my truth, and that's fine. Everybody can have their truth. The truth, capital T truth, that's God, right? That's the only truth. But speaking my truth might not always be easy or comfortable. So your truth is your experience. It's not a universal truth. Someone else may disagree, and that's okay. Discomfort doesn't mean that something's wrong. It means growth is happening, really. I mean, think about it. You've handled discomfort before. You've handled lots of discomfort in your life, workouts, learning new skills, difficult transitions. You can handle this too. Get comfortable with the silence. After speaking your truth, let there be space. Resist the urge to over-explain or seek immediate validation, right? Just allow others to process without rushing to soften or take back your words. And then another really important piece is that courage to speak your truth comes from practice, right? Authentic expression gets easier the more you do it. So start in low risk situations, speak your truth with your friend or journal before tackling bigger conversations, but start little and it gets better as you practice. So your truth is your power. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And maybe ask yourself, where in my life do I need to start expressing truth more clearly? Where do I need to be more truthful in my life? Okay, so this talk has been about your superpower, walking the path, courageous living. Truth is your superpower. And truth is the remedy. We're going to kind of walking this path of authenticity requires truth as the remedy. Stop lying to ourselves and reclaim our power. And when we're authentic, it magnetizes what is meant for us and allows others to live in alignment too. And expressing truth is a skill that can be practiced, not just a feeling to wait for. There's techniques and skills, but remember, most importantly, that it's your truth, not the truth, and other people can have their truth, and that's okay. We can disagree, and being okay with disagreement is important, and discomfort is okay. Be okay with the discomfort of disagreement. You've handled difficult situations and discomfort. You can handle this too. So the question for this week is, where in my life can I be more honest with myself and communicate my truth more clearly? Because the real world is waiting for the real you. Don't shrink, don't dim. Let's just shine. Let's just shine. So next week, we're going to do a series on authenticity and truth. So next week, we'll be breaking free from fear and judgment, living unapologetically. I can't wait to see what comes out for that one. All right. Thank you so much for joining this week on Walking the Path. I'll see you next week, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Peace and blessings.